You're listening to the Oddities podcast.
It's good. I just don't want to block in your face.
Okay.
Do you have family out there or what?
My wife's from Oregon, so California was a little closer for them, going to Shasta. But
Oh, so they drove up. You guys met how?
they did. We
part
had
of the way?
we had the farthest drive though. It was
was it?
like a 10 or 11 hour
Holy
trek.
crap, dude.
But we busted out in like a day, so
That's a good drive. Was it nice weather?
it was so nice. It was like
Yeah.
100 degrees. I think the first couple days were like
Dang.
90, and then you're just on the lake. We had our jet ski and two ski boats, and we're just mobbing in the lake. It was
Does
fun.
her family have those and brought them up, or do you own them and you just?
Her family, her uncles, and then her aunt has the jet ski, and then we had the big
Oh,
3-story
nice.
houseboat. So
Oh, that's sweet. Is that theirs? Or you guys just rent it?
you rent it through Shasta Marina or whatever.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it was
I've,
cool.
I've never been water skiing before. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
No,
You've
I
never
haven't.
been?
I've never been. No.
Oh, geez. Yeah,
I'm not really much of a water guy, to be honest. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
Might be
used to
different
be.
if I was on jet water skis though, but
Have you done jet skis?
no, nothing.
Nothing. My dad grew up on the lake, Lake Samish.
hmm
So my grandma actually still lives there, but he did like water ski tournaments growing up,
Oh,
like
no
when
shit.
he was up until I think he was like 16.
Oh, dang.
And they would like travel all around the United States, just like beasting it up. I think my aunt got like first in nationals or something.
Whoa.
So I grew up going
Damn.
out there.
Are you a good swimmer? Did you grow up in the water?
I'm not a great swimmer.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to be better.
But you could
But-
survive if you fell in, right?
Oh yeah, no, I can
Yeah.
I can tread water and I can do my thing.
My thing
But,
is like when I swim, I always swallow water. Like I'm not good at just swimming. Because like you know how you have to turn your head to side, and that's when you like breathe
Yeah.
or exhale.
haven't mastered that part.
I've never been good at it, man. I
It's
always
hard.
like inhale water and like I don't know. If I fell in the water, I could stay afloat.
Yeah.
It's no problem.
Well, that's
but
what matters.
I just
Survival.
can't swim. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you working from home or
Yeah.
is Saratoga?
Yeah, just
still...
came from home right now. Yeah,
Oh, just right up the road.
Yeah.
How's that going?
it's good.
Uh huh.
Yeah, we switched to doing what do we do? I do 2 half days now in the office. So
Oh,
other than that, I'm just kind of working from home on my laptop.
why 2 half days? What is that?
We're just trying to phase back in
Uh-huh.
slowly, so not have everybody back in the office at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. And then I think as we go into phase 3 or whatever, we'll
Yeah.
phase back in.
Do you
But
like working from home?
I love it.
It's nice, huh?
It's so nice. Yeah.
Do you kind of just set your own hours? Like whenever you get up and get ready, you start going? Or
Yeah,
do you...
yeah, yeah. I mean, I try to stay disciplined because it's so. I feel like it's so easy to lose like your routine
Yeah.
in the midst of all that. So, my wife printed off a little like hourly schedule of when we're supposed to do what. Just because she's super like type A, which is really helpful for me because I'm not. So that kind of helped us stay on track. But I don't know if you noticed, we just got a puppy.
Oh, I saw you on Instagram.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
that has changed our lives pretty drastically.
Do you plan to have kids someday?
Yeah. Someday.
Having dogs like a little mini training.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah. It's
Oh
like
my gosh.
it's like here's a preview, tiny preview.
We were just saying that. Well,
Uh-huh.
because she finally, at first, she was waking up every 2 hours in the night.
Your wife or your dog?
No,
you mean?
our dog. Well, my
Your
wife.
dog
We
cusses
both
the,
were.
your
Yeah.
wife cusses the dog.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So, yeah, to go to the bathroom, and she's so cute. We got her trained out. The dog, not my wife, to to ring the bells every time she wants to go outside. There's little bells hanging from the doorknob
Of your bedroom?
of our. She's downstairs, so right out the exterior door.
She
so
rings
she
them
she will
when
ring
she
the
has to
bell,
go.
and then she'll sit there and look back at you and say,
How do you
"Okay, I'm
teach her to
ready."
do that?
We at first we'd carry her, and the bells are on the doorknob, so every time you'd open it, it would just make that noise, and then we'd ring it and say, go potty or whatever. And then eventually, when she would go there herself, she would kind of knock them, and then now she's so good at like just like she actually takes her paw and like
Smacks it.
and then sits there, and it's like, okay,
Dang.
and
How old
yeah.
is she?
15 weeks.
Wow, that's so cool. What's
Yeah.
her name?
Millie.
Millie?
Yeah.
Is it golden? I forget. Is it golden retriever?
Golden, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Have you guys been wanting to get a dog for a long time?
Yeah. Luckily, we
Uh-huh.
were kind of on top of it. Everyone's buying puppies now because of COVID.
I know,
and
I saw
everything,
that, like,
shelters.
Pet
or-
ownership like spiked.
Yeah, but luckily
Uh-huh.
we were on it. I think in January we were already looking and kind of dialed in our breeder. So
Did you guys like read books or watch YouTube videos on how to train a
we
puppy and
did.
stuff?
Yeah, we did. We watched a couple YouTube videos.
I heard, and I don't know if this is true. This is in my brain, and I probably heard it years ago, and it could be bro science or it could be true. But like, isn't like the first 6 months, if you don't get the dog trained in the first 6,
Yeah.
it's like almost impossible later in adult life. Is that true?
It's like crucial to socialize your dog
Uh-huh.
at that point for sure. Which is why it's so hard with COVID because you can't, like, all the puppy classes are canceled.
Yeah.
All those types of things. And another thing I didn't know about is the whole parvo thing. Do you know
What's
about that? So it's like it's a disease that dogs can get, and it's really contagious. They can get it just by going into grass and getting it from other dogs. I think it's usually by like feces and stuff, but so you can't like take your puppy onto public areas like grass and stuff. You have to keep them on the sidewalk.
Oh, until they're an adult?
Until they get all their vaccinations. So,
wow, I never heard of that. So they get it from like other dog poop.
Mm-hmm. It from other non-vaccinated dogs.
And what happens if they get it? They die from it? Or?
They can, yeah.
Dang.
So it's intense, and a lot of people don't know about it, and I didn't know about it until we got her, and it's like there's all these rules.
Did your breeder tell you that, or you just read it in a book or something?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know. So that makes it like an added challenge. You know, we don't have a backyard or anything, so we're trying to like take her on these sidewalks and avoid all these dogs.
Well, you know what's crazy? I just one of the managers at Bed Bath & Beyond, I know the guy from going in there so much. He was telling me over the shutdown. This is why my brain's always like, oh wow, good way to make money. He had a German Shepherd who had puppies. Okay. He had 7 of them, and they sold for like $800 a piece in like 2 days or less than 2 weeks.
Surprised.
He said he put an ad in Seattle and one other place, I forget where. And he's like, I could have charged like $1,000 for him.
Oh yeah.
And then my brain's like, 7 puppies, if that's $7,000. And then I almost I was about to Google like, how often can dogs pump out litters? I'm about to fucking go into the canine breeding dog breeding.
Well, seriously, I know. I started doing the math too because our breeder has 15 adult dogs that she breeds, and she's got like the full setup. And she charges a lot more. She's more like $2,500 a puppy.
For a golden retriever?
For a golden retriever, yeah. Dude. We got a discount on ours because she was a teenage pregnancy. So
what does that
mean? The adult male jumped the fence, and he wasn't fully grown, and he impregnated.
And what happens if that happens? If they're not fully
well,
grown?
They just weren't able to do all the tests or like evaluations on them yet to get like their full certification, but ended up being completely healthy, and we got a cheaper dog. So it worked
you don't have
out
to say how
well.
much you paid, but $2,500 a dog.
Yeah, so you start doing the math on that. She has 10 puppies usually each litter.
Dude, what am I doing? Dude, I'm about to like buy property and have like a baby making facility.
I know. No, I'm with you. That's what I've been thinking too. I mean, they make good money.
Because I heard that and I was like, because as a kid, this is a long time ago, so I'm 40, right? But when I was in kindergarten, my parents bought a purebred German Shepherd for like $100 or $200.
I know.
That was back then. So in my brain, I've always kind of had that number stuck there because I've never looked into it. I've never bought a dog. Why would I know?
Yeah.
I don't research this. But when I heard that, I was like, what?
I know.
Dude, you can make a bank if you have it. If you run it like a business, you're smart.
Keep it professional,
Yeah, you just do it legit, clean, have property. That's why I like when I pick up on ideas and things like this, I'm like, well, if this business ever failed, I could do that.
Plan B, yeah.
I keep like a Rolodex of different business ideas just floating in the brain. Oh, yeah. Obviously, way too busy now. I mean, Olivia knows how busy we are. We're like 24/7 nonstop. I got to work on weekends. And it's just like 0 time for any little extra curriculars right now. But
yeah, but you got to keep it in here for later.
Oh my God. I know, that's insane.
Yeah. Well, and that's not even, I know some German Shepherd breeders that actually like breed dogs from Germany, like straight German Shepherds. And those are more like $5,000 per puppy. So there's a market for it for sure. People will pay that much money.
And some of those German Shepherds, they train to be like legit guard dogs. They speak like German to them.
Yeah,
like...
that's that breeder. She supplies a lot of the like police academies and things like that. So it's like a legit operation.
Wow. Yeah. How long did it take? So did you have some puppy accidents in the house a few times?
Oh gosh, yeah, we did. Yeah, she yeah. I don't even want to think about it. It was rough. peed on the couch, peed on the floor.
What do you do, for example, when they pee on the couch? How do you discipline them? Like, no. Like, how do you tell them, like, no?
You're supposed to grab them and then run them out to where they're supposed to go and put them down so they know, like, that's where you're supposed to go to the bathroom.
As you see them peeing?
Yeah, so there's been a couple times I've gotten peed on. You're, like, grabbing them mid-pee and, like, carrying them, and they're just leaving, like, this trail of urine all the way
Is dog piss like cat piss where it's super smelly and hard to get out, or is it not as bad?
It smells. I don't think it's as bad as cats, but... It's not good. Oh. It's not something I want on my couch, you know?
Then you gotta, like, clean it. Yeah. Couches are a pain to clean.
I know.
Because it's like, how do you, like, even if you clean the surface, you got, like, pee that's seeped into the cushion.
Yeah, there's no getting rid of it. Luckily, I'm pretty sure our dog's bed is more expensive than all of our furniture in there combined. Got all of our stuff off of, like, Craigslist or for free, so. And hers was, like, this premium dog. My wife's like, I'm not going to spend a lot on our dog. We're going to be simplistic dog owners. And then Amazon, just Amazon orders keep rolling in. And
just keep pumping in, huh?
It's rough.
What does your wife do for work again? I forget.
So she was a first grade teacher.
Okay.
And now she actually just totally had a career switch. And now she is a marketing specialist for a firm in Kirkland. It's like an IT consultant.
And just work from home?
Yeah, she just
Oh, that's
started
sweet.
Monday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So doesn't have to. So no more school, huh? I
Yeah,
guess it was good time to bail on that.
Yeah, pretty
Were you
crazy.
guys nervous meeting her? Was it her family because of the whole COVID thing? Like, and you don't know if you have it unless you get tested, but then you're meeting up. Were you guys nervous about it, or were they just like, it's fine?
You know, they're pretty low key,
Uh-huh.
and obviously there's a lot less cases in Oregon. But yeah, I mean, a bunch of people on a houseboat together.
Mhm.
Everyone's kind of has to be okay with it.
Yeah. What are your whole feelings on the whole thing? Do you think we're overreacting, underreacting, good, bad? Like, what do you
Yeah.
see? How do you see the whole story?
Gosh, that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a little bit of an overreaction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like my job as a real estate agent and property manager. I see like the economic impacts it has on like small business owners
Mm-hmm.
and people. So it's too bad that it was dealt with in the way it was. But it's not like I have a great solution of how it could have gone
Yeah.
either. I like to be careful around like the elderly. Like I have a
Mm-hmm.
grandma who's 89, so we obviously for like the 4th of July we always go out there on the lake, but we
Skipped it.
skipped it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm probably more on the not as worried just because I'm healthy, but I know that I can also carry it to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm not like paranoid about it at all.
Yeah. Did you notice a lot of, because obviously you're a commercial real estate agent, did you see a lot of businesses either going out of business or were a lot hitting you up, hey, can we defer rent? Or like,
Exactly.
what was your experience?
Yeah. Across the board, a lot of them would just reach out, and we ended up deferring rent for a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
There are quite a few that couldn't make it, that are just going out of business.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were rare cases where landlords actually did forgive some of the rent too. But for the most part, I would say across the board, just delaying payment until they're open again.
But then they have to make it up.
Yeah.
So it's like you're kind of kicking the can down the road a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's hard though because landlords have their mortgage that they're trying to pay, and then they're almost like delaying that, and so it's just like
I know.
there's
Well,
no
that's why I
great way
saw.
to-
I don't know how active you've been on the news or the media, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it's really happening now. I'm sure it's being talked about a little bit, but months ago, people were like, cancel rent. And I even
Oh.
saw like a sign up sheet somewhere in Bellingham of like sign. And I was like, these people don't understand how it works. Just because you're paying rent in a home doesn't mean the person who owns the home is like cash flowing and
Yeah,
like
they're
rich
just
and
living it
owning
up
that
in
home.
Hawaii.
They have
Yeah.
to pay a mortgage to the bank.
Right.
So they might only be making, say, maybe $300 extra on the
Right.
rent they're charging you
Right.
every month, and they have to pay the bank, I don't know, 15, 2,000 a month, whatever the number. So if you're just like, well, I'm just not going to pay my landlord, well, your landlord has to pay the bank, and if he doesn't do that, they're going to lose the home.
Yeah.
And then your ass is probably going to get kicked out if they have to find a new renter or someone else buys
Yeah.
it. So you're screwing yourself long term. But the people who own your property aren't. People just assume because you own a business or a property, you're just
That you're
like
just
rich,
raking
balling,
in the money.
just
Yeah.
cash money. It's
I
not
know.
like that. Like
I know.
you buy a house, it's like a 15, 30-year payment plan.
Mhm.
So the person who's 40 or 50 who owns your house probably still paying on it. Like
Yeah.
they don't own it.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
I was like, this is the
Exactly.
dumbest movement in the world. These I'm just
I
like,
know.
what?
I don't know why there's always been that like stereotype of landlords. My parents are commercial investors. That's kind of what got me into real estate, and so I was able to see like through this process
Uh-huh.
like how they dealt with it. And my dad was always it's a team effort. Like you don't want to be like the landlord that's like, nope, I'm going to stick to the lease and just do whatever it says, because it is a relationship. It's a business relationship, and it only works if both groups are going to kind of understand where each other are coming from. So we had a couple tenants that reached out more of a, hey, like, can you please help us out? We're doing everything we can. We'll pay whatever we can back. And it's like, okay, well, I'll work with you. But when you get a letter that's like, we're not paying rent, it's
just like straight up, we're
why?
telling you.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
oh, dude, it just puts the negotiation, the whole interaction
yeah.
just starts off at like a 10. It's like, dude,
Why are we there? I
why are we
know.
there already, man? I know it happens though, not just in this situation, but even I have I have friends or I have former employees that sometimes people just feel they go defensive first.
Yeah.
Like they just feel
Just
like
their
they're
natural-
automatically being attacked and everyone's kind of silently scheming to screw them. And so they come at you in their communication through text or email
Yeah.
or whatever at like a 10.
Mhm.
It's like, dude, we just talk. Like,
Yeah, what
it's
are you
not.
doing? Let's just talk about it.
It's not that serious. We don't got to fight already.
I know.
Like
People just naturally go to that.
uh-huh.
Just
What do you
based on
do
their
in that
personality.
situation? Like, do you have to bring in like your people skills and like?
Oh gosh, yeah. Specifically, like with my job.
Well, like when you get that letter that people are like, we're not
Yeah,
paying. Like, what do you even do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think if I got one of those. I was thinking about some of the other agents in my office. I mean, you kind of just deal with it. You end up having to look at what the lease says, because some leases do allow for that. But for the most part, you just kind of say, well, we're not able to do that. We're going to have to defer it. This is kind of what we suggest. And a lot of times they come around because a lot of times it's like a franchise and they're busting out those letters to all these landlords.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of just their boilerplate, see if they just accept it. And if you roll over, they get their way. If you push back, they're like, okay, we'll work with you. So you just got to stay firm.
I mean, I've been guilty of this in the past because we work with a lot of companies. Sometimes something will happen and my initial email will be a little aggro. It'll be a little emotional, or just like, you're tired, you're stressed, or you're busy, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you like send this email of like some dumb mistake where they sent the wrong order or the wrong item. Now you have to go through all this process of getting return shipping labels. And you're just like, and so you kind of send an email that's not super fluffy and full of like, nice, like full. It's just kind of to the point.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's just like texting, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can totally be misconstrued through text if you're just busy driving and the light's about to turn green. You're like, shit, get this text out. And then you're like, oh, that looks kind of hard.
Yeah. So true.
You know what I mean?
Some people just don't have a gauge for that, though. I feel like they just send something with no exclamation point, nothing. And you're like, I don't know if this is you or if you're not happy with me. And it's tricky.
It's tough. That's why like my emoji game stepped up over the years.
Did it?
You know what I mean?
That's important.
Because it's so weird, like the psychology of like texting. Like, because just words themselves can go either way, but you can be playing like in a totally good mood and send a text that, because of their mood when they receive it, or because how they think you're feeling, they look at that and like, oh, like we're already fighting. And it's like, oh, if I just put a smiley face, they know that I'm just teasing or playing, and we're all happy.
That's why phone calls are so great sometimes. I'm hesitant to do that a lot of times, but you can't like you can't misinterpret that as much as a text, which is great. But
yeah, I mean, it was so funny when I was going to Western. I was like 29, 30. I was doing my last 2 years. And most of the people that were majoring in psych or were my friends, they were 18, 19, 20. Like they were fresh out of high school.
Right.
And I remember we were studying together in a group. And I'm the old guy because I'm like 10 years older than them. And I remember this is one of those moments that was forever frozen in my mind. They were talking about cell phones and they're like, it's weird when people call. Like it was like a weird thing.
That was strange.
To get a phone call where the new norm was text. And I just, I grew up pre-cell phone era, and so, how old are you?
I'm 25.
So where were cell phones when you were growing up? Like when you were high school, were they
I got
out?
a flip phone. Yeah, they were out. I got a flip phone in like 7th grade.
It
was it was a big moment.
Yeah. And so, it's just weird. And now, I mean, I felt this way too when people would call me and I'm busy. I'm like, dude, why are you calling? I don't have time to talk right now. I'm so busy. Send me a text. It's easier.
Yeah.
And again, it depends who's calling. But I always feel weird about it too when I call people because I know how busy they are. And it's like, but like if I have a text, if I have an answer to a question that's going to require like me to type 3 paragraphs, I'm like, I'm calling you.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to sit here for 20 minutes typing this thing out.
That's so true. And some people just naturally call. Like I have that a lot of times where my natural tendency, especially like with work, is just get a good email off. It's in writing. It's out of my court. Ball's in their court. But then every time like there's those people that just immediately just call you. You're like, I just sent you, like, just respond to the email. But that's
and Olivia, you can call me whenever you want, by the way, because she's my assistant. So she calls me and that's fine. She's just like hearing this conversation. She's like, shit, I better not call him ever.
Take notes.
No, that's fine. Work-related stuff 24/7. But so what's your feeling on like the commercial real estate overall? Well, let me ask you, like, obviously not naming anyone, but like what percentage of businesses would you say are really struggling or have gone out of business or on the verge of? Like, what do you have like an idea?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I can throw out a number. I'm not really sure. I know that obviously it's dependent on the type of business. So, retail and restaurants are really struggling. Restaurants in Bellingham,
so
there's a lot of restaurants that are having to start closing their doors that I know about. And then retail, even before COVID, with Amazon, that was already having a huge change. I manage Birch Bay Square Shopping Center, and that used to be kind of a premium outlet mall. And the last like 10 years, it's totally changed because we're going into more of a service-based real estate kind of environment out there. So it's more like service-based stuff. So physical therapy,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
different office use, like mini storage, like
Accountings,
things where you
yeah.
physically have to go in and get service as opposed to like retail.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there's not retail still out there, that there is, and they do well, but it's changing a lot. So that was already happening beforehand. And then COVID came around, and obviously they couldn't even physically be open. So they were hit pretty hard by this, and obviously restaurants too. So seems like industrial users have been hanging in there.
Yeah.
Haven't really gotten much complaints from them because they just carry on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's affected a lot of business. It's made my job totally different. So
How's your job changed now? Like, in what way? How's it?
yeah, so it kind of went from lots of like the property management side of it went from lots of maintenance requests and dealing with tenants to basically just dealing with, hey, this tenant's requesting rent relief. Now I got to go to the owner and deal with this. And so it was more COVID related with rent.
Yeah.
But now things are starting to open back up. So now I'm just getting both. So now I'm just that much busier. So,
yeah. Were a lot of landlords pretty understanding, or did you encounter some pushback from them?
Yeah. I think all of them were understanding that some people just literally had to close their doors. How are they going to pay rent? So they would work with them. So
is this a stressful time if you're in commercial real estate? Is there stress or any worry, or are you pretty chill? Like, it's just going to bounce back. We'll be okay. Or
I'm not worried. I think things will phase back in, but I do think that there's lasting consequences. Like I do know that there's certain businesses that are going to operate in a different way going forward. I'm not worried that like real estate's going to phase out and kind of change. I think it's obviously it's around. But I do think that maybe the types of users we're getting will kind of change. Like I said, I know kind of the warehouse, kind of like the building we're in right now, or it's a warehouse building, but there's a good tenant mix. It's not just industrial users. It's also, portion of office or retail use, things like that.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I'm hopeful. I believe in real estate as an investment vehicle. I want to have my own investment someday in commercial and residential. So yeah, I mean, you look at like the stock market and things like that. I would way rather put my money in real estate, just because I personally know it too. There's just a lot of benefits. So
would now be a good time to buy commercial real estate, or is now a bad time? Because obviously I'm not knowledgeable like you are, but in my mind I think, oh, is there probably less people wanting to buy commercial real estate right now because of the way businesses are so affected? It's probably harder to sell properties right now, so now's a good time to buy? Or is it the opposite, where all the investors are like, now's a great time to buy, so the market's really, you know what I mean? Like, what's your feeling or thought on that?
I think it depends who you talk to. And I think it depends on the type of property that you're looking for. I would feel pretty safe, like I said, buying a concrete tilt building with industrial tenants.
What's a concrete tilt building?
So the one we're in, it's just the type of structure. Just it's very low maintenance. You don't deal with a whole lot of leaks, although I know that we do have some in the storefront.
That was a pain. I guess we finally got
it
sorted.
Did we get that sorted out?
I don't know, because it hasn't rained so long, and I don't know, there are times when it would rain and there would be those puddles, and times, I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. It's more just an annoyance.
Yeah, it's a nuisance.
And obviously, you want to kind of tackle something like that early on, because if it can get underneath the floor,
you don't want that.
You want the
don't
damage.
want that.
But yeah. You haven't experienced it yet, Olivia. We had an issue. I mean, I've been in here almost 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
Coming up on some renewal here soon. But when it would rain, we get a puddle of water in the front office area here. We couldn't figure out for the longest time where it was coming from. We had like 3 dudes out here looking at it, and I don't know where it would come from, because I wouldn't see it in action. I would just come in and, oh, it's a puddle of water, and then I'd text you, and I don't know. I guess they got it figured out. I haven't seen
maybe
it.
There's a chance. I think if someone could come up with, especially in the state of Washington, like a really, really good leak detection service, they would make a killing in Bellingham.
Yeah.
Because every property we manage has issues with leaks. And so I think if there's some way they could like track the water. I know there's ways to do it, but it doesn't seem like there's like a go-to, like, hey, I know you're gonna find this leak and you're gonna solve this problem. It's just like you're chasing leaks left and right and you don't know.
There's always these little niche things. Like we talked about dog breeding. You're talking about that. It's just like, man, it's like before I got started selling on Amazon, which was over like 7 years ago, I was always on the lookout for any little thing that wasn't traditional, or any little area that was in demand that you just couldn't find someone to do it. And like, that's just like another one. But
squeaky.
What was that?
It's my shoe.
Oh, dang.
It's the Nikes.
So, yeah, so the commercial real estate. So what you're saying, concrete tilt buildings, you said are probably the better ones to go for. Like any other ones? Like the different types to look for?
I haven't done much with sales, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I've done mostly leasing. I've probably only done a couple different commercial sales. So I don't have a whole lot of knowledge on that yet.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I've learned, I really do feel like that would probably be the easiest as
Mm-hmm.
far as like a warehouse tenant
Yeah.
would be the best. Yeah, and then as far as leasing goes, you were asking about like the times we're in, if that's good or bad. I mean, a lot of deals have fallen through because of COVID as far as like lease transactions. A lot of people are hesitant to make decisions, especially restaurant users, because
Oh, dude.
who's going to want to open up right now?
Dude, nobody.
50% capacity, and they have all these things they have to do. So,
I mean, I was driving around this last week. I had the thought because I hit up this really good pizza place in town. I'm actually gonna have the owner on the on the podcast next
Oh,
week.
yeah?
But I think about restaurants. Like, can you imagine if you just opened up a restaurant like 2 or 3 weeks before the shutdown? Oh,
no,
how devastating.
I know.
And even now, I feel really bad because, I mean, most people aren't very knowledgeable about the restaurant business because why would you be unless A, you worked in one or you
Right.
owned one? But it's like most of those restaurants make their margins from alcohol sales. Um, and that's why like these solutions of curbside and delivery, it's like, first of all, one of the places I like to go, the sushi place in town, the owner was telling me that because I had ordered off there a couple times, I think off of, was it Grubhub, is one of the food apps, but he stopped doing because he's like, dude, they take like 25% of the
Oh,
sale.
really?
And then
Just
on,
doesn't pencil.
and then on top of that, there's like another fee or something. So
Jeez.
it's like we're not making any money. Like they're making the money on those little apps because it's like, oh, you think restaurants are booming with this app like
Yeah,
Uber
yeah.
Eats and everything. It's like, dude, they take such a cut out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and so
I know,
also
it's
doing
sad.
half capacity is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
It's just because what business can just lose half their income and be fucking good? It's
Yeah.
like
Each
none.
square foot in a restaurant matters. Like, it has to make you money.
It's like
and
retail.
so-
Imagine if they cut your retail space in half.
Yeah. Boom.
But you got to pay the same amount in rent.
There you go. I know.
I'd be like, dude, what?
It doesn't make any sense. I know.
And so that's why in my last podcast, I ranted hard on this shutdown because I'm against it. And I won't go off on the same rant, but I'll just reiterate a couple points. Is I was saying, what is the box we're looking to check where we can go back to full open run as normal? Because, if you read the news and you also do research on your own, like if you just, like Fauci was even saying, if we come up with a vaccine, it's probably only going to be 75% effective.
Right.
And it's voluntary. We can't force people to get it.
Right.
So a lot won't even get it. Also, it's not coming anytime soon. There's also, if you look, the last time I looked, there was 8 different strains of the coronavirus. So it's like the flu. And so you know how every year you can get a flu shot?
Right.
Well, that protects you against one strain of the flu. It doesn't mean you can't get the flu.
Right.
And also, they were saying the coronavirus just mutated again. So now it's spreading faster. It's not any deadlier. So I was asking in the last podcast, not with any answers, but like, what's the box we're trying to check where we say, okay, everything can go back to normal because there's no vaccine anytime soon. Right. It's going to be partially effective. And then I see these weird things happening in other states where the cases are spiking. And so now they're reversing to go back to shut down where they're closing bars and restaurants. I'm like, well, what do you think is going to happen when you move into these new phases that you allow people to go to beaches and parks and open up restaurants?
It's going to stay.
Of course, they're going to spike in cases. And you're doing more testing. So, of course, you're going to see an upward trend. And then the news media likes to do the whole fear thing where they have to put super intense dramatic headlines so you can click so they can sell ads.
I know, I hate that. That's a whole nother topic.
So everyone's got like the fear of, a lot of people, I mean, I was never super paranoid, kind of like you, but I know a lot of people that are scared to death to not wear a mask or anything. They think like, dude, apocalypse is here.
I know.
And I'm just like, so I was asking in the last podcast, like, what are we doing? Because the cases are always going to exist. They're going to spike as you allow new phases to come into play.
Right.
And if you're just going to reverse and re-shut down, you're literally destroying the economy. Yeah. It's getting destroyed because everyone's writing those fat $600 a week checks right now to the end of July from the unemployment, and they think this is great. And so, stay shut down. But what's going to happen is when that runs out and you have to go back to your job that no longer exists,
right.
Then what are you going to do? Now you're in the unemployment pool, with hundreds of other people trying to find work.
Yep.
So good luck finding a job. And if you're a restaurant that's at half capacity, well, if they're only operating at half capacity, they don't need as many servers. Hours cut for servers. Right. Servers getting half tips. Bars, everyone. Mm-hmm. So everyone's going to get hurt. So for anyone to be in favor of this approach, I just don't understand the mindset. And maybe I'm a moron, I'm dumb. But
I don't think that's the case.
When I think about it, you know, and I'm not saying don't be careful.
Right.
I'm just saying we should be full blast open, wear the mask, do your thing. But it's like, dude, give people the option on how they want to protect themselves. Because if I was 80 years old, I would be like, don't shut down the whole economy and destroy people's lives for me.
Yeah.
Like, my family needs to work. My nieces, nephews, my younger, like, they need need to work. Businesses need to flourish. I'm not going to be so selfish that I want to, you know? So I don't understand who we're protecting or what we're really doing. I think it's just something that's here to stay. And I'm just at a loss for what our leadership, governors, mayors, presidents, what everyone's doing.
I know.
It's weird to me.
I know. And it becomes a political thing too. And I hate politics, but I hate that it always has to go there too. Mm-hmm. It always has to become a political issue.
Yeah.
And
where one party's looking for the other one to screw up so they can bash them. You know what I mean?
Instead of caring about actually solving the issue and, you know, everyone's well-being. But no, I totally agree with you. Like I said, I see it from the like the economic point of view and how it's affecting people's livelihoods. Mm-hmm. And I think we're protecting one side of things. I think it's good to be careful and be safe and protect people that are at risk. Mm-hmm. But I think we're forgetting about like a big part of it too. Like we're also hurting a lot of people. So it's not as easy. A lot of people are like, you know, you're more concerned about business than people's lives. And it's like, well, it's not just business. It's like people need to survive. They need to make money to live, you know? Mm-hmm. And so it's just, it's hard to be, I don't know why people are so one-sided, I guess, you know?
Yeah, when you say, you know, you only care about businesses, well, businesses are the lifeblood of the country. Like, that's where your jobs are going to come from. Mm-hmm. And wherever you're working, whether you're working, it doesn't matter where you're working. If people are unemployed, that's going to affect the amount of money they're going to spend, which is going to, in some way, it's going to impact your job because this is all like a big trickle down. Like if people don't have money, that means less sales for retail, in store or online. It's like less people looking to invest, less people traveling because they don't have as much money for hotels, everything, man. It's like the whole thing.
I know.
And I'm just really confused, and I'm really worried, and I feel so bad for like just business owners because I am one. I just know I was in the mall a day or two ago for the first time since it reopened, and I was walking through. It was the 4th of July actually. I walked to Ulta to get some. As I was walking through the mall, like so many businesses just weren't even open. And I asked the lady in Ulta, I was like, "This is my first time here." I'm like, "Are they just closed because it's the 4th of July?" I was like, she goes, "No." She goes, "They just haven't reopened. They're just choosing not to be open." I was like, "Oh my God!" Like,
how many do you think were closed,
dude? 80% of them.
80. Wow,
like most of them. I was shocked. I'm like, what is going on?
What's
here?
even open? I didn't even know the mall was.
I don't even know. Target. And I walked through the food court to get to Ulta, and the amount of businesses I saw closed was insane. And I mean, other little things too, which I don't fully understand. Like we get bagels from the bakery for the coffee shop. We used to pick up Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but now they're not allowing any dine-in customers. They're not even open on Wednesdays now, so we can't get our pickups on Wednesdays. And now they're opening at 8:30, where before we'd go there at like 6:30 to get our pickups. And it's just, I guess, I'm not sure why they're doing that, but I see so many businesses either closed or just not even open. It's depressing and it's sad because when I see people, I'm just like, you should be worried and a little angry and upset that this is our approach because, I mean, I talked about this too in the last podcast. You know, when you have poverty and you have problems like this, you see domestic violence goes up, child abuse, divorce, crime, depression, suicide.
Oh yeah,
like across the board. And it's like we're trading all of that. We're willing to have all of that because of something that's killing 0.5% or 1% of humans. I was like, phew. And we're spending trillions and trillions of dollars to keep the economy afloat.
Right.
In my mind, and again, I'm not an economist and I'm not that educated on all this stuff, like it seems like a huge payout to do that. Like I'm not thinking that's not worth it to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You got people scared to death that And I don't know. I feel like I'm not like a worry person, but I feel like a low level anxiety
Yeah.
about the state of the country in terms
Yeah.
of even just the presidents. Like we got Trump, we got Alzheimer's Biden, and we got Kanye West. And then we got like we got the COVID, we got the Black Lives Matters, we got shootings going up in Chicago and
Right.
New York to like record numbers,
Right.
homicides, people hating police not even wanting to do anything and intervene. And it's just like
It's a crazy time to
so
be
much,
alive.
man.
It's a crazy time to be alive.
Do you read the news on a daily basis, or you stay away from all that?
I stay away, to be honest. I do enough to be informed on what's going on, but yeah, it just really freaks me out. Like when all the Black Lives Matter stuff started up, I was keeping up on that for a while, but and I was actually in Oregon during the time, and so I think we just made it past that I-5 part that ended up getting shut down.
Yeah.
So I just started getting kind of freaked out. Oh,
Yeah,
thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just started getting kind of anxious about it all, so I ended up, just putting it away for a little bit. But yeah,
you got to take breaks from it because, like we said, the news is poison, and it's like I have my go-to news. It is literally like I've taken, over the course of my life, I've taken multiple breaks from the news just because I know I feel so much better being ignorant about all the deaths and murders and bombs and rapes and kidnappings and wars going on with 7.8 billion people. Like your brain can't handle all that stuff because your brain thinks it's happening in your immediate environment and you're in danger.
Yeah,
your brain can't sort it.
Exactly.
And so you get a physical, biological response of like tension, depression, anxiety, worry that just floats in the back of your mind every time you hear a school shooting or like, and if you actually look at the stats, the country, like before this whole Black Lives Matter Corona thing, the world was the safest it's been ever in human history. Like wars were down, starvation was down, rapes, murders across every area.
Really?
The world was in one of the best places it's ever been. But you wouldn't know that if you looked at the news every day, because they're trying to sell you They're trying to sell ads on their platform.
Trying to make money, yeah.
So every headline has to be the most horrible.
Yeah,
like
you have to make it bad.
Gossipy. The world is ending. We're all dead.
Yeah, it's never like just an average title.
I know,
like,
right? And so
we're gonna be okay.
I wish people would just kind of get off of that, because when you read the news, big old font, you go to CNN.com, Corona cases surging in Florida and Arizona, and then you go and you do a little Google search on your own and you just read data, and it's like numbers are surging, death rates falling. Death rate is stable even though there's a surge. There are hospital beds. We've gotten better at treating corona. There's better treatments now, but you're not getting that.
No,
you're getting like the end of the world right now.
We're dying.
And so then people respond that way, and they're like fighting people not wearing masks, like afraid to do anything. It's just like but you're always going to have that in any society. There's just going to be people that are on team this, team that, team Trump, team whatever. And it doesn't matter, and that stuff is just so exhausting because you are helpless in a way. Like,
what was I reading? I think I subscribed to James Clear, Atomic Habits. He also, have you read that book?
No, I don't know.
It's a really good book. You should read Atomic Habits. So he also does like a weekly newsletter.
It's called Atomic Habits.
That's the book. And then he has it's called like a 3-2-1 newsletter. And he had a little article thing that he wrote, and it was about how in the olden days, or like back prehistoric.
Yeah, however far back,
Yeah, we were basically designed, if there was an issue, if there was any type of stress, like you're going to get eaten by a lion, we would get stressed, anxious, scared. We would run away from the lion or kill a lion or whatever. Problem solved. You go back to normal. You're no longer stressed. But nowadays we have, like you were saying, there's all these things that stress us out, all these worries, and they're not like instant fixes. They're just these things that we fixate on, and they're like long-term things that weigh us down. And so as a nation, as a world, we're so much unhealthier because we're no longer programmed to like, there's a problem, fix it, done. It's like there's all these things we need to like just deal with on a consistent basis. So it's really unhealthy in that way. So it's kind of crazy, especially with everything going on. It's not a good mix.
Well, do you know what Dunbar's number is? It's this thing where the human, because we evolved in like small groups, small tribes, whatever. Realistically, 150 people is the number that we can realistically keep in our like group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of people that we can know and relate to. 150 is like that number. Um, and so, like you said, to your point, we now are watching 7.6, 7.8 billion people, and it's all negative because it's all news,
Mm-hmm.
and just reporting on the worst of the worst 24/7. And a part of you is like, well, you want to be informed. At the same time, it's like, well, what's the point? Like, if you read about the Australia fires years ago, a couple years back now, where 500,000 or 500 million animals died, or you read
Right.
about the Syrian refugees who are like freezing to death and their kids are freezing, what that does is it makes you feel horrible and depressed and
Mm-hmm.
anxious, like probably mostly unconscious, conscious, some of it's conscious. Unless you're going to jump on a plane and go to Australia and do something, or you're going to donate money to those refugees or join some sort of group that's going to go help them, it does you no good to read about it.
No.
It does you nothing. And it's like, if you're going to read about the president or whatever topic or issue, if you're not going to take action, it's just going in your brain, into your body,
Yep.
making you tense,
Just
anxious,
stressing you out,
whatever,
serving no purpose.
ruining your health.
Yep.
And that's why it's like you got to take breaks from the news, and like you're much better off, and I do this a lot, of just Googling issues that I want to focus on or learn about right now,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they may be. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be anything
just
horrible.
separately.
If I just want to see what Elon Musk is doing with SpaceX, I could just Google SpaceX and
Yeah.
read about that particular topic.
Right.
If I want to read about whatever topic, it's better just to Google it and find your info that you want, consume it, and be done.
Yep. No, I totally
You know?
agree. The funny thing, back to the Australian fires, I knew someone that was there when those were going on, and he was saying everyone was reaching out, like saying, "Hey, are you okay?" And he's just like, "Yeah, like Australia is huge. It's this little tiny area
Yeah,
that
it's
this
not
is
like
going on."
the Inferno,
Yeah.
Dante's Inferno or something.
And so it's like there's another example of like the news getting a hold of something and everyone's freaking out, and it's like, I'm in Australia and I'm fine. We're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So I know it's crazy.
Yeah, they got to blow up. They got to make it huge, and yeah. So I don't know. It's just there's just good to take breaks from that, and yeah, we're just not equipped to deal with all that stuff. Because back like what you were saying, I was thinking about this too. Like hunter-gatherer days, we must have been so chill. Well, 2 points I want to make. One, they've studied, because I was a psychology major, and so we had studied this. There are certain tribes, around the world, which everyone's heard about, like South America or wherever, who've never had contact with like modern humans. But when they do go, and there are some tribes in Africa where they'd go and study them, and they found way less cases of depression, mental illness, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, across the board, way better mental health. And it's because they're not dealing. And society in general, if you think about how we evolved, it's so much work and so hard because there's so many things you have to balance on a daily basis now that we never had to deal with back in the day. Another thing I've wondered about, and I'm sure there's been a paper, or this has been studied, but if you think about if you're a kid growing up, right, in the age of smartphones, where you can be on the news and look at Instagram, like as a kid growing up, you typically try to unconsciously mimic the behavior of your environment, your parents, your peers, your culture, to behave a certain way. Right. And that just becomes your culture and how you operate in the world. And I've wondered, now that we're in this age of media and everything, and where you can see all the cultures from all around the world doing all kinds of drastically different things, we're always trying to behave in a certain way where we unconsciously don't get exiled from the tribe or like pushed away. So I wonder if we're unconsciously, kids are probably contributing to anxiety a whole lot more because they're unconsciously consuming, because you see like, Black Lives Matter movement, and you see like the whole trans thing and gay marriage, and you see different parties and different groups bashing this group and that group. And so for human beings to try to figure out, where do I fit in? Like, am I supposed to, what's my culture? Like, how am I supposed to behave so I fit in and can integrate with our society and community? And if you're on Instagram and you're just scrolling through, you're going to see cultural appropriation because you were a girl who wore that kimono from Japan a couple years ago to her prom. I don't know if you heard about that.
No.
Did you hear about that? She wore it as a kimono, right? She was just a white girl, wore a kimono because she thought it was a beautiful dress. A lot of idiots got on her because, it's cultural appropriation because you're wearing this other culture's dress. And she's like, fuck off. I just thought it was beautiful and pretty and whatever. But there's that whole thing where you see that and you're like, oh, are we not allowed to do anything now, like actors are coming out. They don't want to play anything but just a white person if you're white. Like now you can't you can't act and pretend to be any different culture. Like Halle Berry was going to play a trans person in a movie. She just dropped out because she's like, "Oh, sorry, I did that." Like now they're even apologizing for
Right.
for making pretend, and
Right.
it's like there's just so I just wonder like it's got to be insane psychologically, mentally to grow up with all this insanity, and
Oh,
then you got to
gosh.
figure out how do I even behave.
Yeah.
And you see even adults tripping over the words where you don't even know
Yep.
what to say sometimes
Yeah.
because you're trying to like walk this line.
Yep.
It's
I don't.
nuts,
Yeah.
man.
I don't think we're gonna have kids anymore.
I just talked you out of it.
We talked about it. Yeah.
Have you seen that show Alone?
I was just talking about that the other day.
Did you see it?
I haven't seen it yet. I was gonna start watching it.
Oh, dude, I binge watched the whole thing in 2 days.
Is it pretty good?
11 episodes. The greatest is such a great show. Do you know the premise?
It's yeah, basically like Survivor Man, but like
Yeah.
individual people, right? They're filming themselves.
10 people. I've never seen Survivor Man or any of those other ones, so I don't know how they're set up. But this one, they take, I think it's 10 people, bring them out into the Arctic, and drop them off in different locations. They're allowed to bring 10 items with them. Whoever survives the longest gets $500,000. And
they're packing their gear, right? Like 70 pounds worth.
No,
of, like,
they only get the camera
camera
equipment that they had to take with them is 65, 70 pounds.
Ah, jeez.
But they're allowed to only pick 10 items that they want to bring. So bow and arrow, fire
Yeah.
starter, whatever. Oh, it's you. I was surprised humans even made it, because when you see how hard it is to catch food and live off the land, dude.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they're in the Arctic right before winter,
Yeah,
so that's part of
not
the
ideal.
challenge of it. But when you see how hard it is, like all of them lost a ton of weight. Most of that, a lot of them got to get pulled for medical reasons because they were starving to death,
Really?
and some of them were on the verge of like organ failure. And like
Jeez.
one guy lost 80 pounds.
How long was he there?
He was there. He made it up to about 60 something days. A lot of them put on weight intentionally because they knew.
Before
But
they
you
went.
see, like, one guy out there kills a moose and he gets hundreds of pounds of meat, and you think you're set. But it's like, no, because because you were keto. It's just there's very little. First of all, his fat got eaten by a wolverine. He had kept the fat because he was going to consume it. It got eaten, but he had hundreds of pounds of meat, but he was starving to death because you can't just live off straight protein, and there's not a lot of fat on the moose. So he was losing almost a pound a day. And he goes, if I saw a movie where someone killed a moose and they were starving to death, he goes, I would say that's bullshit. But he's like, it's real. Like, you can't just
You
kill.
just can't do it.
You need fat, and so they would have to go and fish. And just when you see what they've gone through with like injuries, one guy got off the show in the first. Well, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's just like, I mean, and then you got these animals that they kill, and this is something that was new to me. They inspect them for like parasites and worms. Right. One of them knew what to do. Is that you got to expect the liver to see if it's spotty or whatever. Wound up eating it, severe food poisoning anyway. It's like, how did we ever survive? I don't know how we even made it.
Yeah,
It's like
that's such a good point. Wow, that's great. So were these people like experts in their field?
they were
or
all
they just,
survival
like,
wilderness
They
experts.
were okay.
And it's like, dude, if they can't do it, because
Yeah,
like
we have no chance.
the first 10 minutes of episode 1, I was asking myself, would I
Could I
do
do
this
it?
show? I'm like, hell yeah. I was like, I'd go get some survival wilderness skills and
Go to
totally
REI.
By the end of episode 1 or 2, I was like, fuck no. I was like, I would be dead. Like, I wouldn't last. I mean, when you see how hard it is to hunt animals to survive, dude. And like and then you eat berries, but then winter comes and there's no berries.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude. And they're like literally eating every part of the animal, trying. Like some of them went like 2 weeks with no food, and they're like ravenous with hunger, and they'll kill something and break down, start crying because they're so
it just
hungry,
breaks you.
dude.
Oh my gosh.
But when I saw that, I was like, man. And the winner who won, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I follow him on Instagram now, and he has like survival courses. He was on Rogan's podcast too, by the way, if anyone wants to see him on there. He was there for like 2 hours talking about the whole thing. But he has like survival courses where you can go out in the woods. He's doing one here in Idaho, I think, in July, and then some more in August where you go out for a week. You have to pay, and then show you some stuff. I thought, dude, if I was healthy, if I didn't have this tick-borne illness I have right now, I would totally sign up for that. I think it'd be cool to learn, like, because they have to build their shelter from scratch.
Yeah, you gotta do it all.
I think it'd be cool just to have some wilderness skills.
Know-how.
I got zero.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Do you got any?
I did Cub Scouts for like 2 years growing up, so I'm pretty good. No, I don't really know what I'm doing. I feel pretty good when I go on like a 2-day camping trip. You know, I come back feeling pretty manly. But that's like, I go to REI, stock up on mountain house and all that stuff. And got my jet boil. I can't imagine trying to do it without any of those, those tools and things like that.
I was a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout too, and the most epic thing we ever did is we hiked up on Hurricane Ridge.
Oh yeah,
back in Port Angeles where I live. In the wintertime, we hiked up into the snowy mountains, and we had to build snow caves to sleep in for the night.
That's awesome.
And you dig down and you dig over. And here's the thing: they are so hot. Like we were just in our sleeping bags, like literally in our underwear, because it's so hot. It's because you dig down. It's so insulated snow. Mm-hmm. Like some guys built like in a legit like cave. Like we went in there. Dude, it's so hot. It's like insane. I was
traps in all the heat.
If you ever got stopped in snow, you dig out a thing.
Did you leave like a thin layer on the top?
No.
So you could
no, just and now again we were little kids, so there were some of the I forget, it was Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts. What's the one above it? I think there's an Eagle Scout. Yeah, there was a couple of Eagle Scouts who were like older guys. High school maybe, but they were bigger. They were brothers. They were twins. They dug like the best one where they went down. But we were little kids, so it's not like we're super. We're gonna do an epic one. But just a little one we built. It's like, dude, you'd be good to go in these things.
Yeah, those are fun to build. I did that a lot growing up. But
what shows you watching now? You got anything good?
Honestly, I always just keep coming back to The Office. I'm not gonna lie to you. Especially since I think it's gonna get taken off of Netflix.
Is it?
Is it 2021? I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been always watching that. That's like my go-to. I think it's just going off of Netflix, and you don't have to start buying DVDs.
Oh wow, that's weird.
I just started Downton Abbey.
I heard that was good. Have you seen that?
My mom and I watched it, and then I stopped, and she kept going, but she really liked it.
What is that about?
Well, I'm only a couple episodes in. It's basically like set in like early 1900s, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it goes before World War I and then through World War II.
Oh damn! Yeah. So it spans. Is it? And what are you following? Like a family
it's
or
like a
somebody?
Rich. What is he? He's like a. He's not like a. Some political high up
aristocrat or something.
Yeah, really rich family, and it follows like both their family and then also like the butlers and the maidservants and all the people that are like doing their tasks. It's really cool because it totally opened my eyes to the fact that was a real thing. Like people had full-time jobs, like this huge staff just to maintain a household and all the things they had to do for this family. Like from the moment they get up in the morning, like ironing their newspaper so that it's straight for them, and because the ink needs to dry.
Is this like based on like how life was back then, basically? And
I think for those like rich families, people, like it's crazy.
Wow.
So I mean, like I said, I just started it, but a couple people told me about it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it a go. But it's good. It's good. And then I was watching Jack Ryan with. I
saw the first 2 seasons.
Jim,
Did you like it?
Jim with John Krasinski. I always call him Jim. And that's really good. I just really like John Krasinski. He's great. So.
What do you think of a quiet Place?
Love it.
Did you like that?
I haven't seen the second one.
Well, it hasn't come out yet.
Has it not?
The prequel.
That's why I haven't seen it.
It's like a prequel.
It's a prequel. Oh.
Someone made an argument though, and this kind of bothers me now. It's like, why didn't they just turn all the noise up on everything? Because if you have to be quiet to avoid the aliens or whatever they are, why not just turn the TV and the radio and car? Like, why not just make a ton of noise? Because then they can't find anybody. But I guess eventually they would destroy all the shit making sound, and then what? But I was like, oh, that's a good point.
Dang.
Like, why not just make noise all the time? And then you can easily walk around or navigate a whole lot better rather than trying to be super quiet.
Shoot, you just debunked it.
I know, it kind of ruined it for me, but
well,
a great movie.
I don't need to see that anymore, I guess. We'll hold off on that. Yeah, those are good. I really like him. Did you ever watch Some Good News that he put on?
Oh, on Instagram or YouTube, right?
Yeah, was it you? Yeah,
I watched an episode or two. Yeah.
He ended up selling that, I think, for tons of money at the end.
Really?
Once
who's the host now? Is he still hosting it? Or?
No, he's done. He's like, this was just kind of a thing I was doing on the side.
And someone bought it?
And some group bought it, and he did pretty well.
I follow some news things on Instagram, like Tank's Good News, I think it's called. I do follow some positive stuff, because just to get that in the brain. But did you watch Space Force with Steve Carell?
I watched the first 2 episodes.
Bailed?
I'd like to jump back into it. I don't know if my wife does. I love Steve Carell, obviously, because I love The Office. I think I had too high of expectations. But I'm also wondering, a lot of people said that about The Office right when they first started. The first couple episodes, it was like this new thing, like this weird style of filming.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it's like that. So I'd like to keep trying, but...
Did you like The Office the first time you saw it?
Yeah, I jumped in when it was already well along. I think I jumped in at like season 4, and then I went back and watched them all.
I didn't like it when it first came out. I started watching it in college because my friends would talk about, oh, you see a new
Like
episode
right
that came
away
out?
when it came out.
No, I don't remember what season it was. I jumped in. I think maybe there's a couple seasons already out at the time. And I watched the first 3 or 4 episodes. I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted something to talk about with all my friends on,
So you just kept doing it.
So no, I stopped for a while, but they would always talk about the new episode that would come out because this is when it was still airing. And so the second time around, though, I fell in love with the show. And because, like you said, at first the style of humor, I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah,
Like
it takes a little
It
bit.
just didn't do anything. I started watching the first episode of Space Force with my daughter, and we got part of the way through episode 1, and didn't laugh at all. And I'm like, let's watch something else. I had heard from other people that had watched it before me that they were kind of undecided. They didn't know really what to say because they love Steve Carell so
I
much,
know.
and they know The Office was such a weird show, so they kind of got it. But I was like, and John Malkovich is in it, and there's some cool
And they have
actors.
some big name actors.
And I was like, and I was reading the reviews before it came out, and they were saying it's just not funny. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, they're critics, who
Yeah.
knows? And then I was disappointed.
It's the same writers and producers too as The
Yeah.
Office and all those other big time shows too. So I don't know. I'd like to keep giving it a go.
Sometimes the humor from like 10 years ago or whatever,
Yeah.
they try to do it again, and
it's just not
it's
there.
just like the times have changed.
Yeah.
And a good Steve Carell movie, which is completely 180 of comedy, was Beautiful Boy.
Oh, I wanted to see that. I never
Oh, it's so good. Did you see it? I think I told you about it.
Yeah, you told me about it. 'Cause I had
You should check A Beautiful Boy out.
my phone.
It's a true story about this boy's struggle with heroin addiction and the struggles he goes through as a father, trying to get his kid off the street, and the whole family dynamic of trying to, save their kid who's like addicted to drugs and on the
Dang.
street, and how helpless you are and how frustrating it is that you can't really. Yeah,
So it's pretty serious.
dude, I'll tell the story. I'm not gonna name any names. One of the girls who used to work for me in the warehouse, we just ran into the other day. Her fiance's sister went missing in San Francisco, and I'm going to paraphrase some of the facts probably, or like I'm not 100% on all the facts I knew at the time, but went missing in San Francisco, weren't able to find her, like the police and everyone looking down there. She literally got in a car with her fiance, drove down to San Francisco, found her on the streets, living down there, and she's like, dude, it was insane because I don't know if you guys heard about it, but like huge drug problem and homeless problem in San Francisco and LA, but in San Francisco in particular,
Yeah.
just like needles, drug deals going down on the streets, and it's so rampant. It's one of those things where they literally can't clean it up. They just don't have the manpower, or what do you even
So
do with
just-
all these people? So it's kind of happening, and the cops know, and everyone knows, but no one knows what to do. So they kind of just let it happen as long as you're not too obvious, type of thing. But she's like, dude, it was like The Walking Dead, like insane. But they
Dang.
went down there, got her sister, and she's just totally fried from drugs, missing teeth, and they brought her back up here, and we're trying to take care of her and get her. And she was telling me how hard it is to even get people into like these care facilities and rehab places, and
Yeah.
and it's just it's a huge problem, like the drug problem, the homelessness, and how much
Oh,
homelessness
gosh.
has shot up since the COVID shutdown and people losing their jobs and businesses. It's just another thing to add to the bucket of like
I know.
in San Francisco and LA how bad it's gotten.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we got the Lighthouse Mission. I think just is going into the old public market.
Mhm.
You hear about that?
No, what are they doing?
So they're moving from, well, obviously they were in Bellingham High School,
Mhm.
and then now they're moving into public market for a couple years while they build their where they're currently at. They're, I think, expanding, or I'm not sure what the details are, but so that whole downtown area. I mean, I don't really want to give my thoughts on that, but it's just it's tough to see because I'm obviously supportive of what they're doing. But it's also like there's a lot of business owners that I think are going to struggle with because the bus station's right there,
Yeah.
right downtown, and so they have a clear shot right, to that spot. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's a tough thing. It's hard. I don't know why I do know why Washington has so many homeless people, but if I was homeless, I would be in like California or like Hawaii. I feel like
Yeah.
just in somewhere warmer.
Well, I know you've been to Hawaii, right? I think
Yeah.
you've been there. When I was in Maui, yeah, we were up
I mean, they're
early
there.
at like 7 o'clock. We had some time to kill before we went to the airport, so we packed our bags and we were just chilling at a park or something. And there's this homeless people sleeping there because it's so warm, like you said. And a homeless situation is horrible everywhere, and we've
Yeah.
talked about it a little bit. I mean, I've ranted on that. It's one of my rants, but they need to
It's one
have
of your
laws where they scoop people up off the streets that can't take care of themselves. I gave a story about it on the last podcast I did, where in front of the store, where my coffee shop is.
Oh.
I don't know if you heard the episode or saw the clip, but it's like, is this weird what we do? Like, you got people who are mentally ill, who are sick in their head, like schizophrenia and bipolarism and who knows what else. Like, your brain is going to dictate how you behave in the world,
Right.
and how you act, and it's going to affect your mood. And these people clearly are not able to care for themselves.
Right.
But we just let them out on the streets to fend for themselves because we legally can't force people into treatment or an assisted facility. And so we just leave them there.
Yeah.
And some freeze to death, some die. You know, they're dirty, they're filthy, they're just left to basically friend. It's the most insane.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And I don't understand why these laws aren't. And you don't ever hear presidents or any political candidates aggressive. I'm sure they're out there, but you just don't hear it as a hot topic issue.
You don't. That's surprising.
You hear
actually.
immigration and all these other things, but it's like we should be pushing for laws that if you're on the streets and you clearly look, if you want to do the whole defund the police and you're going to create a whole different thing for people to deal with mentally ill people on the streets, one of their jobs of this new organization, if it gets created, should be to go and examine healthcare professionals to examine people on the streets. And if you're mentally ill, they should force you off the street into care, because literally their brain, there's not even there. And we've all seen it.
Yeah.
And it's just like this baffling thing. And it's so weird to talk about you should force someone to do anything.
Yeah.
Because it just goes against human rights, but they're clearly sick. Try to get them better, get them treatment. Their quality of life will be so much better with like treatment.
Yeah.
And it destroys, it can ruin real estate values, and the streets could be dirty, and these people suffer. And I'm just like, oh, it's so weird to me. And you just see like 80,000 people, I think, are homeless in LA right now. San Francisco, it's through the numbers.
Wow.
And it's like, that's a whole city. That's like literally a whole city of homeless. And it's like, I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't either. And I don't have an answer. I wish I did. Wish I had more opinions on that. But
anyways, I could talk forever. But commercial real estate, yeah, if they want to get a hold of you, Luke, if they want to open up a restaurant or a business right now, or if they have any real estate questions whatsoever, how can they get a hold of you? What's the best way?
Yeah, so probably by phone. You can call our office, Saratoga's office.
Saratoga Real Estate.
So yeah, Saratoga Commercial Real Estate, 360-676-4866. And then I'm probably not going to go out my cell phone.
Yeah, no, keep that to yourself.
And then my email is luke@saratogacom.com. So it's com.com. A lot of people get that wrong.
So any questions about commercial real estate, business? And you said you don't handle like buying commercial property. It's more of like, or you do?
I'm not specializing in that right now, but that's definitely something I'm going to move into. And then this is kind of a whole nother topic, but I'm also pursuing business coaching. So I'm getting certified for that right now and kind of going down that route along with real estate. So that's going to be my focus.
How does that work?
Business coaching?
Yeah. How does that work?
So it's a totally different thing from real estate. So I'm getting certified right now through MAPS Business Coaching, which started through Keller Williams Real Estate, biggest real estate company in the world. They started coaching business through Keller Williams, which was designed for agents. So it's real estate coaching for agents. And then from that, they kind of developed this MAPS Business Coaching so that they have a coaching arm of it. So totally separate from real estate. It's kind of this business division. So they're kind of like sister companies.
Oh, interesting.
And so that's the organization I'm going through. So this summer I'll be certified. And then basically what it is, a lot of people think it's kind of like consulting. And there's moments of it where you are doing that, but it's actually basically the person, it's a one-on-one thing. And so just like you and I are now, and you would be the expert on your business. So I could be coaching you right now. I don't know your business specifically, but I'm the expert on how to coach you in the methods and how to walk you through kind of the business models, provide accountability, provide another perspective. And then there are moments for consulting if I am familiar with your topic, but it's pretty much just like two people working together, setting goals. And there's all these tools and stuff that we provide, but yeah, so I'm pretty excited about it.
Wow. How'd you even hear about that or get started with that?
My friend Levi, his dad is one of the directors of coaching. He has a really successful coaching, speaking, and teaching business called Influence. And so he ended up kind of getting pulled into MAPS. Now he's the director of coaching. He has both businesses, but Anyway, I heard about it from my friend Levi, and so he's doing it too. And hopefully I'll be certified here at the end of the summer and start that up.
Oh, that's cool. And how are you going to start advertising, putting the word out that you're certified and ready to go?
You know, I got to get certified first, but then once I do, I'll probably, just social media. I think they
Kinda
also
word of mouth?
provide, word of mouth. They also provide a lot of, I think, referrals and stuff through MAPS business coaching. So
Wow, that's going to be cool,
yeah,
man.
I'm excited about it. It'll be really fun.
And you kind of just set your own rate of what to charge? And...
You work through them, so it's kind of like real estate where they get paid and then you get kind of the cut of that. And so they have a minimum that they charge.
Wow, that's really cool.
So that'll be really fun, and then we'll see where that goes. But it's cool because it's remote. It's over the phone. You can do it in person too, but set your own hours. A lot of people do it like 2 days a week.
Oh, that's neat.
And kind of replace your income. You can work 2 days a week and make just as much as what you're
Oh,
doing
that's great.
before. So yeah, we'll see.
That's cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Have to have you on again sometime. So
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
Thank you.